Hi everyone, I'm Bubbles from Susan's family. Today I'm bringing you a new pattern, the Bobo bag from Revisiting the World series. This bag consists of the main part and decorations. First, crochet the main part, then make the decorations after it's completed. The bag has two versions, horizontal and vertical. With the same crocheting method, only the joining together of the main part differs. Specific instructions will be given for different positions later. Let's start learning how to make the main part. Crochet first, then join together. The main part begins with a foundation chain. Crochet along the starting chain. Color changes are required during crocheting. The stitches used include chain, double crochet, single crochet, and double crochet 2-in-1. Double crochet decrease. Now, let's show, before starting the actual crocheting, learn the proper posture for crocheting. To make it easier for everyone to see clearly, I'll demonstrate first using cotton yarn. For specific yarn, color schemes and hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and paper instructions. First, let's begin with a magic ring. Wrap the yarn tail around your left little finger. Pass it through between the middle finger and index finger. Pinch the yarn tail with your thumb and middle finger. Leave a small tail. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Place it underneath the yarn. Make a loop counterclockwise. With your left thumb and middle finger, pinch the crossing point of the loop. Position the hook to the left of the yarn. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Gently tighten. Now begin crocheting chain stitches. Yarn over, pull through. One chain stitch is completed. This single chain represents one stitch. Pick up the two strands on the edge. Mark with a stitch marker. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can also use a safety pin or paper clip instead. Continue crocheting chain stitches. Yarn over, pull through. This is the second stitch. Repeat this process. Continue crocheting chain stitches. Crochet all the way down to the required number of stitches. Here, my swatch has fewer starting chains. Refer to the chart for the exact stitch count. 3, 4. After completing, on the last stitch, pick up the two strands on the edge. Mark with a stitch marker. Then chain 1 to secure. Leave a bit of tail and fasten off yarn. Pull the yarn through. Tighten. This completes the cast-on. Next, work row 1. Take the corresponding yarn. Note that the original yarn has longer fibers, so it's hard to see the stitches when crocheting. It's recommended to watch the demonstration before crocheting. Here I'll demonstrate first with cotton yarn. Hang the yarn on the left hand. First attach yarn to the last stitch of the starting chain. That is, the stitch marked last. Let's see. The right side of the chain shows a V-shaped loop. Insert the hook into the front loop of the last chain. That is, the remaining single strand marked. Pull the yarn through. Then work 3 chains as beginning chain. 1, 2, 3. These 3 chains count as 1 double crochet, corresponding to the last stitch of the starting chain. Then mark 1-2 strands on the 3rd chain. Below the loops on the hook. That is the 3rd chain. Pick 1-2 strands on the side of this chain. Place a marker to mark the first stitch position. Next, insert into the front loop of the adjacent chain. Make 1 double crochet increase. That is, work 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Let's start with the first stitch. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Keep all yarn tails above the hook. Weave in the ends as you go along. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. Then yarn over. Draw through the first 2 loops. This is an incomplete double crochet. There are still 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over once, and pull through. This completes 1 double crochet. The braid on the upper right is the stitch. Continue with another double crochet in the same position. Yarn over. Insert the hook. Pull the yarn through. Then yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat 2 times. 1, 2. The second double crochet is completed. 1 double crochet 2 in 1 is done. Continue to pick up the front loop of the adjacent chain stitch. Make another double crochet 2 in 1. Work 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Remember to weave in the yarn tails. One, 2. Another double crochet 2 in 1 is completed. Then skip 3 chain stitches. One, 2, 3. On the 4th chain stitch. Work 1 single crochet. Which is this stitch? Insert into the front loop above. Draw the yarn through. Now there are 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through. This completes 1 single crochet. Continue to work 1 single crochet into the front loop, above of the next chain stitch. Insert the hook. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over and pull through. Another single crochet is completed. Continue to work 3 more in sequence. Part of the yarn tail can be trimmed off now. Then skip 3 chain stitches. And work 2 double crochet 2 in 1. After completing, work 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Let's take a look. Consider from the turning chain position to this double crochet position as one group. Check the stitch count against the chart. One group totals 15 stitches. Because there's a beginning chain at the start, the first group is special. I'll demonstrate another group. First work 1 double crochet. Mark the first stitch of the group. Pick up the double crochet stitch, and place a marker. Then work 2 double crochet 2 in 1 increases. Skip 3 stitches, then work 5 single crochets. After completing, skip 3 stitches, then work 2 double crochet increases. And 1 double crochet. This completes another group. Count from the marked first stitch of this group to this double crochet position. Check the stitch count. There are 15 stitches in total. Now everyone continue crocheting according to the group. Finish this row. When crocheting later, also mark the first stitch of each group. After one group is completed, check the stitch count. Finish this row. The last stitch perfectly lands on the starting marker position. So the first row is done. When the yarn tail is on the left side, this side is the right side of the fabric. Since the next row requires a color change, leave a bit of tail and fasten off yarn here. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side. The starting tail can also be hidden on the wrong side. After checking the stitch count, remove all stitch markers from the starting point. Keep the stitch markers from the first row for now. Next, I'll use the original yarn to demonstrate crocheting this row. First, join the yarn on the last chain. Then make 3 chains as beginning chain. Mark the third chain, which is the braid below the hook loops. Pick up 1-2 strands on the side to mark. Feel with your hand and you'll find a small hole. Place a marker on this small hole, marking it as the first stitch. Next, insert into the front loop of the adjacent chain above. Work a double crochet 2 in 1. Similarly, weave in the ends. The braid on the upper right is its stitch position. Feel with your hand, there's a small hole with a noticeable dent. When you can't find it accurately, you can insert a needle into the small hole for assistance. The stitch position is easier to insert compared to other positions. Continue to work a double crochet 2 in 1 in the adjacent stitch. Then skip 3 stitches. Work 5 single crochets in sequence. After completing, skip 3 stitches again. Work 2 double crochet increases. And 1 double crochet. This completes the first group. Remember to check the stitch count against the chart. Here you can feel the chain space on the upper right to verify the stitch count. Total of 15 stitches. Next, work the second group. First, work 1 double crochet. Note, mark the stitch. Similarly, feel the small chain space on the upper right. The noticeably dented position is the stitch. You can also mark before working here. First, place a stitch marker on the loop on the hook. Do not place the working yarn inside the marker, then work this stitch. This is the first stitch of the group. Continue working the entire group. Once completed, remember to check the stitch count. Next, continue working one group at a time. Work the entire row. The first row of the original yarn is done. Leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side. You can remove the stitch marker at the starting point. Now work row 2. Here I'll continue demonstrating with cotton yarn. Join the yarn in the turning chain of the previous row. That is, where you marked the beginning position last row. Pull the yarn through. Make 3 chains as beginning chain. Place a marker in the 3rd chain of the turning chain. Marking the first stitch position. Then in the same stitch, where you joined the yarn, work 1 double crochet. Weave in the yarn tails. Treat the turning chain and this double crochet as a special double crochet 2 in 1. Then work 1 double crochet increase in the next stitch. Pay attention, this stitch is a bit puckered, don't miss it. After completing, work 1 double crochet increase in the next stitch. Then work 1 double crochet in the next stitch. After completing, skip 1 stitch. Work 1 double crochet in the next single crochet. Continue skipping 1 stitch and work 1 double crochet. Repeat 3 times. After completing, work 3 double crochet 2 in 1. No need to skip stitches here. After completing, it perfectly matches the group from the previous row. Let's check. Similarly, treat the completed section as a group for row 2, because there's a turning chain at the beginning, so the first group is special. Let's check the stitch count against the chart again. The group in this row should have more stitches than the previous row. Don't check the wrong count. I'll demonstrate again. First work 3 double crochet 2 in 1. Mark the first stitch of the group as usual. After completing, work a double crochet in the adjacent stitch. Then skip one stitch and work a double crochet, repeat 4 times. After completing, work 3 double crochet 2 in 1. This completes another group. Check the stitch count again. Next, continue crocheting according to the group. Finish this row, mark the first stitch of each group. Row 2 is completed. Similarly, the next row requires a color change. Leave a bit of tail and fasten off yarn. Tuck the yarn tail to the wrong side. After completing each row, leave a bit of tail and fasten off yarn. Tuck the yarn tail to the wrong side. Next, I'll use the original yarn color to demonstrate this row. Show the crocheting of this row. First, join yarn on the beginning chain of the previous row. Work 3 chains as beginning chain. Place a marker on the third chain to mark the first stitch position. Then work 1 double crochet in the same stitch, where yarn was joined. Work 1 double crochet 2 in 1 in the adjacent stitch. Feel for the next stitch to the left. That is, the position of the small hole. You can use the hook to insert for assistance. After completing, work 1 double crochet 2 in 1 in the adjacent stitch. Continue feeling for the next small hole to the left. Work 1 double crochet in the adjacent stitch after completing. Then skip 1 stitch. Feel for the next small hole to the left. Leave unworked. Continue feeling for the next small hole to the left. Work 1 double crochet in the single crochet. After completing, skip 1 stitch, and work 1 double crochet. Repeat 3 times. After completing, then work 3 double crochet 2 in 1 in sequence to the left. Note: do not skip any stitches here. After completing, the first group is done. Remember to check the stitch count against the chart. I'll demonstrate another group. First work 3 double crochet 2 in 1. Similarly, mark the first stitch of the group. After completing, work a double crochet in the adjacent stitch. Then skip 1 stitch and work a double crochet, repeat 4 times. After completing, work 3 double crochet 2 in 1. This completes another group. Check the stitch count as well. Next, continue crocheting according to the group. Complete this row. Similarly, mark the first stitch of each group. This completes row 2 with the original yarn. Leave a yarn tail, fasten off, and weave in ends. Now let's crochet row 3. Take the corresponding color yarn. First join yarn on the beginning chain of the previous row. Make 1 beginning chain. Join yarn and make 1 single crochet in the same stitch. Mark it. Then work single crochets into each stitch of the previous row. Work single crochets correspondingly. Except for the first stitch. Choose whether to mark based on your skill level. Mark if needed. Complete this row. After finishing, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Weave in ends on the wrong side. This completes row 3. Now work row 4. First join yarn in the first stitch of the previous row. Make 3 chains as beginning chain. Mark it. Join yarn and make 1 double crochet in the same stitch. Then work 2 double crochet 2 in 1. Next work double crochets. Note, starting from the first stitch, you need to skip. Repeat for 5 stitches. After completing, skip 1 stitch. Work 3 double crochet 2 in 1. This completes 1 group. You can see this row's crocheting is identical to row 2. Only here each group. The first and last double crochet need spaces on both sides. Continue to finish this row. Leave a yarn tail, fasten off, and weave in ends. This completes row 4. Now let's crochet row 5. This row is similar to row 1. Only here between double crochet increases are worked as double crochets, and all stitches are worked into the stitch. This row actually uses special yarn. Similarly, choose whether to mark based on your familiarity. First join yarn on the starting chain of the previous row. Make 3 chains as beginning chain. Continue marking on the starting chain. Then refer to the chart. Complete this row. Leave a yarn tail, fasten off, and weave in ends. This completes row 5. Now let's crochet row 6. Join yarn on the starting chain of the previous row. Make 3 chains as beginning chain. At the same stitch where you joined the yarn, work 1 double crochet. Next, you can find stitch positions by feeling the small holes. Locate the stitch positions. Crochet method is identical to row 2. Refer to the chart. Complete this row. Leave a yarn tail, fasten off, and weave in ends. This completes row 6. Next, continue referring to the chart, all the way down to the last row. For each subsequent row, follow the chart. Some rows require special yarn. Each row starts with joining yarn at the beginning position. Now follow the chart to crochet. After completing, crochet the final row. I'll continue demonstrating with a swatch. First, join yarn in the first stitch of the previous row. Make one beginning chain. You can now remove the stitch markers one by one. Then work 2 single crochets. Then work 3 chains. Next work 6 double crochet decreases one by one. Let's start with the first one. First work an incomplete double crochet in each of 2 adjacent stitches. Then work an incomplete double crochet in each of 2 adjacent stitches. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. This completes 1 double crochet decrease. Continue to work 5 more. After completing, work 3 chains. Then work 5 single crochets one by one. Let's take a look. Consider the starting 3 chains up to these 5 single crochets as a group. Consider it as a group. Next, continue crocheting in the same group pattern. Complete this row. Finish with 3 single crochets. This completes the last row. Leave a yarn tail, fasten off, and weave in ends. The main part crocheting is done. Next, join the main parts together. Here, I'll first demonstrate vertical joining. Place the right side of the fabric facing out. Position the starting point downward. Lay it horizontally, then fold it neatly in half along the middle, right sides together. Then join the starting point and the last row by crocheting slip stitches and chains on the wrong side. Now, let's show. First, join one side. Here, I'll first join the last row. You can temporarily secure a few points with stitch markers. Then take the corresponding color yarn. Start crocheting from either side. First, insert the hook into both front and back fabric pieces to join the yarn. For stitch positions, insert into the stitches. Pull the yarn through. Then work 3 chains. The number of chains here can also be adjusted according to your preference. The more chains you work, the greater the distance between them. After completing the chains, at the appropriate position, insert the hook into both front and back fabric pieces to work a slip stitch. That is, the position reachable after finishing the chains. Ensure the fabric piece doesn't shrink after crocheting. After finishing, work 3 more chains. Insert the hook into both front and back fabric pieces to work a slip stitch. No need to match one stitch to another. Keep the fabric piece flat after crocheting. When encountering a chain space, insert the hook into the chain space to crochet. Continue joining using this method below. After finishing, leave a yarn tail, fasten off and weave in ends. This completes one side of the joining. Next, join the starting point. Similarly, before joining, you can use stitch markers to temporarily secure a few points. Then insert the hook into both front and back fabric pieces. Pick up the remaining 1-2 strands of the foundation chain to join the yarn. Join with chain stitches and slip stitches. At chain spaces, insert the hook into the chain space. For other positions, pick up 1-2 strands to insert. Complete this side of the joining. After finishing, leave a yarn tail, fasten off and weave in ends. Once joined, place the bag opening facing up. My sample shape is not for reference. The bag should be in a vertical position. Finally, turn the right side out. That's how to join in vertical style. Next, let's explain the horizontal joining method. Similarly, place the main part with the right side out. Position the starting point facing up. Lay it horizontally, then fold it in half along the middle. Then join along the last row and the side edge. The joining method is almost the same as the vertical style. Also insert into both front and back fabric pieces to crochet slip stitches and chain stitches. The difference is that here you join at the position of the last row. Leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Then take the corresponding color yarn. Join the side edges. Now I'll demonstrate the side edge joining method. Take the corresponding color yarn. For neatness, attach yarn from the starting point side edge. When joining side edges, insert into the corresponding rose stitch on the side edge. If you do not know where the very first stitch is, you can also roughly insert. After crocheting, make sure the fabric piece is flat. Complete the side edge joining. After finishing, leave a yarn tail, fasten off and weave in ends. This completes the horizontal joining. Up to this point, the joining is finished. The main part is also completed. Next, make decorations. Divide it into button loops. Buttons. Finished product strap. Star. Small bag. Ball and assembly. All decorations are presented in chart format. Let's first learn how to read the chart. In the chart, R plus number indicates round number. H plus number indicates row number. The increases and decreases explanation column shows how to crochet the current round, lists the required stitch techniques, including increases and decreases. The total stitches column shows the total number of stitches. After completing all stitches in the current round, let's start crocheting the strap loops. There are short and long strap loops. First, crochet the long strap loop. We will start from foundation chain, working back and forth along the starting chain. The new stitch techniques used are CH chain and X single crochet. Now, let's show. First, cast on. In the chart, 5CH means to make 5 chain stitches for starting. Take the corresponding color yarn. Start by leaving a small tail. First, make a slip knot. Then, crochet 5 chains. This completes the casting on. Next, work row 1. 2 means to start crocheting from the second chain from the hook. Count left from the V-shaped loop below the hook. Insert the hook into the top half loop of the second chain, and make 1 single crochet. Continue to insert the hook into the top half loop of the adjacent chain, and make 1 single crochet. Then work 2 more stitches. This completes row 1. Next, rows 2 to 12 follow the same crocheting method as shown in the chart. Now, let's work row 2. Chain 1 as beginning chain, means to turn the work over. Turn the work over. Then work 4 single crochets in sequence. Note: after turning, the stitches are positioned at the top left. Once completed, row 2 is done. Next, work row 3. Chain 1 as beginning chain. Turn the work over. Then work 4 single crochets in sequence. This completes row 3. Now follow this method all the way down to row 12. When crocheting back and forth, turn the work over after making the beginning chain for each row. Next, work row 13. Chain 1 as beginning chain. Turn the work over. First work 1 single crochet, then work 2 chains. K means skip stitches. The number following it indicates how many stitches to skip. K2 means skip 2 stitches. Skip 2 stitches underneath, then work 1 single crochet. This chain space will serve as a buttonhole later. Row 13 is now complete. Next, work row 14. Chain 1 as beginning chain. Turn the work. First work 1 single crochet. Then work 2 single crochets in the chain space. Finally work 1 single crochet on the stitch. This completes row 14. Next, continue following the chart. Complete the remaining rows. Rows 39 and 13 use the same crocheting method. Complete the following rows on your own. After finishing, leave a long yarn tail, cut the yarn, and weave in ends. That's how the long button loop is done. Next, crochet the short button loop. The crocheting method is identical to the first 11 rows of the long button loop. Crochet it using the method you learned earlier. After finishing, leave a long yarn tail, and fasten off the yarn. That's how the short button loop is done. Now attach the long and short button loops to both sides of the main part opening. First take a look at the finished product. Fold the main part in half according to the joining position. Then mark a point on both edges. Sew the long and short button loops separately. Start by sewing the short button loop. Now, let's sew. Take the main part. Sew the button loop on any edge of the main part. Wrap both ends of the loop around the main part like this. Also wrap the ring. The distance from the edge can be adjusted according to your preference. Then thread the reserved yarn tail into the needle. Insert into both the last row of the loop and the starting point. As well as the main part. Use the whip stitch method. Sew this part completely. You can also sew according to your preferred method. For extra security, sew through the same insertion points again. After sewing, thread the yarn tail to the wrong side, tie a knot and hide it. The starting tail should also be hidden on the wrong side. This completes the short button loop. Next, sew the long button loop on the other side edge of the main part. Remember to attach the buttons while sewing. Different styles have different button types. There are smooth and wooden ones. For smooth buttons, insert through the chain space on the wrong side. For wooden buttons, sew in a crossing pattern through the 4 holes. Now I'll demonstrate with one example. Overlap the beginning position with the main part by 4 or 5 rows. Place the other end underneath. Then use the reserved yarn tail. First whip stitch along the last row of the bottom end. Then sew through the overlapping rows of the top end. First insert through the loop. When sewing to about the 2nd/3rd row, attach the button. Sew the side with holes of the button to the fabric piece. Then finish sewing the remaining part. After sewing, tie a knot on the wrong side, and weave in the ends. This completes the sewing of the long button loop. Then take the previous buttonhole position. Fasten it onto the button. You can adjust the length by fastening into different buttonholes. Adjust the length according to your needs. That's all for the button loops. Next, sew on the buttons. Let's take a look. Here, the horizontal and vertical versions have slightly different sewing positions, but the sewing method is the same. For the horizontal version, at the opening position, on the inner side above, a little away from the edge, evenly sew 3 buttons. Sew 1 button roughly centered. Sew 1 button on each side, a little away from the edge. Now let's look at the vertical version. For the vertical version, sew 1 button on the inner side of any side, and note that different colorways have different buttons. There are also 2 types, wooden and glossy. The glossy buttons use the same sewing method as the long button loops. Wooden buttons are sewn by crossing through the 4 holes in the middle. Now I'll demonstrate the sewing method. Before sewing on the buttons, first cut about 3/0 cm of the same yarn for the sewing position, then secure the yarn tail inside the main part first. Then sew the corresponding buttons. After sewing, tie a knot on the wrong side, and hide the yarn tail. That's all for sewing buttons. When using it later, you can simply fasten it on the opposite side of the main part. That's all for the buttons. Next, let's learn how to crochet the star. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise along the starting point. The new stitch techniques used are F double crochet, T half double crochet, and SL slip stitch. Now, let's sew. Take the corresponding yarn. First, make an adjustable magic ring. Hang the yarn on your left hand. Place the hook underneath the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. A loop forms on the hook. Make the loop large. Use your left thumb and middle finger to pinch the crossing point of the loop. Position the hook to the left of the yarn. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. Chain 1 to secure. Pinch the loop. Keep the size consistent. The adjustable magic ring is done. Make 3 chains as beginning chain. These 3 chains count as 1 double crochet, then insert the hook into the side of the third chain to mark 1-2 strands. Work 2 double crochets into the starting hole. Chain 1. Now work the stitch pattern inside the parentheses. The stitch pattern inside the parentheses forms one group, indicates the number of times to repeat the pattern. Let's work the first group. First, work 3 double crochets into the starting hole. Chain 1. This completes one group inside the parentheses. Continue to work 3 more groups. Fasten off the yarn after completing. Pull the yarn tail. Tighten the center of the fabric piece. Then join with a slip stitch to the third chain of the beginning chain, which is the marked position. Pull tight. The slip stitch is not indicated in the form. When crocheting in rounds, unless otherwise specified, the end of each round is completed with a slip stitch join and pull tight. The joining slip stitch does not count as a stitch. This completes the first round. Leave the stitch marker in place. The side with the beginning tail of the yarn is the wrong side. The other side is the right side. Now work round 2. First work the stitch pattern inside the first parentheses. Chain 5. Then work into the second chain from the hook. Make 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, 2 double crochets. Then make 1 slip stitch, crochet into the chain space of the previous round. This completes one group within the parentheses. Continue to work 4 more groups. After completing the last group, join with a slip stitch in the same stitch as the previous round slip stitch. Make one slip stitch to join. Pull tight. This completes round 2. Leave a yarn tail, fasten off, and weave in ends. You can weave in all the yarn tails on the wrong side. This completes one star. Using the same method, crochet another one. After finishing, leave a long yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Once both stars are completed, place them with wrong sides facing each other. Thread the reserved yarn tail from one star into a yarn needle. Then sew along each group of stitches, including slip stitches and chain spaces. Sew through both fabric pieces simultaneously. For chain spaces, pick up the other 2 strands. For stitch positions, insert into the stitch. If you have trouble finding the positions, just sew along the outer edges of each group. For slip stitch positions, pick up the braid. Tie a knot, and weave in the ends after sewing. Now the star is complete. Next, let's make the small bag. We'll also use the adjustable magic ring method. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise along the foundation chain. The new stitch technique used is V single crochet increase. Now, let's show. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Then crochet the first round. Make one beginning chain. This beginning chain is not specified in the chart. Actually crocheting in rounds, no special instructions. Start each round with a beginning chain, and the beginning chain does not count as a stitch. Then work 6 single crochets in the starting hole. Mark the first single crochet. Tighten the ring after crocheting. Then join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Pull tight. This completes the first round. Now let's crochet the second round. Make one beginning chain. This round works 6 single crochet increases along the previous round. Let's start with the first one. A single crochet increase means working 2 single crochets into the same stitch. 1, 2. This completes one single crochet increase. Continue to make 5 more. After completing, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Pull tight. This completes the second round. Now let's continue to crochet the third round. Make 1 beginning chain, then work the stitch pattern in parentheses. First make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 single crochet increase. This completes one group within the parentheses. Continue to make 5 more groups. After completing, join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Pull tight. This completes the third round. Next, let's crochet the fourth round. Make 1 beginning chain. First work 1 group in parentheses. Make 1 single crochet first. Then 1 single crochet increase. Then make 1 more single crochet. This completes one group within the parentheses. Continue to make 5 more groups. After completing, slip stitch and pull tight. This completes the fourth round. Now let's crochet the fifth round. Make 1 beginning chain. In the chart, BLO means back loop only. Let's take a look. A stitch has 2 strands like this. The strand closer to you is the front loop. The strand farther from you is the back loop. This entire round is worked in the back loops only. First, pick the back loop of the first stitch and make 1 single crochet. Continue with the adjacent stitch, pick the back loop and make 1 single crochet. Work this round completely. After completing, join with a slip stitch. Pull tight. This completes the 5th round. For rounds 6 through 12, work evenly without increasing or decreasing. For some colorways, after completing the 6th round, a color change is required. If no color change is needed, continue with the same yarn all the way to round 12. Here I'll demonstrate the color change method. Leave a bit of tail and fasten off yarn. Then take the corresponding color yarn. Hook the yarn out in the first stitch. Chain 1 as beginning chain, then crochet along the previous round. Work this round completely. Weave in ends while crocheting. After completing, join with a slip stitch and pull tight. Continue crocheting all the way to round 12. After finishing, leave a yarn tail, fasten off and weave in ends. After completing the first 12 rounds, now work the last round. Take the corresponding yarn. I'll continue demonstrating with cotton yarn. Join the yarn in the first stitch. Make 1 beginning chain. Work 4 single crochets first. Then work 7 chain stitches. Skip 4 stitches underneath. Work 8 single crochets. After completing, work 7 more chain stitches. Skip 4 stitches. Work 4 single crochets. Finally join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Pull tight. Leave a yarn tail and fasten off weave in ends. The last round is completed. The small bag is done. Next, crocheting the ball. Using the magic ring method. Crocheting in rounds counterclockwise along the beginning chain. The new stitch technique used is a single crochet decrease. Now, let's show. Following the form shows that the first 3 rounds are the same as the small bag, because here we're using special yarn. I'll demonstrate again with cotton yarn. Take the corresponding yarn. First, cast on the adjustable magic ring. Then work the first round. Make 1 beginning chain. Work 6 single crochets in the whole of the beginning chain. Mark the first stitch. After completing, close the loop. Then join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Pull tight. This completes the first round. Now work the second round. Make 1 beginning chain. Work 6 single crochet increases along the previous round. You can also find the stitches by feeling the small holes. Locate the stitches. Work this round completely. After finishing, the second round is completed. Next, continue to follow the chart, all the way down to before the final round. After finishing that, work the last round. First work the stitch pattern in parentheses. Work 1 single crochet. Then work 1 single crochet decrease. The method for this stitch is, first work 2 incomplete single crochets. Let's start with the first one. Insert into the adjacent stitch. Pull the yarn through. This is an incomplete single crochet. Work another one. Insert into the adjacent stitch. Pull the yarn through. This is the second one. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. This completes the single crochet decrease. The stitch pattern in parentheses is now done. I'll demonstrate another group. First, work a single crochet, then work a single crochet decrease. Make an incomplete single crochet in each of the 2 adjacent stitches. Then yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Another group of stitch pattern in parentheses is now done. Crochet 4 more groups. After finishing, join with a slip stitch and pull tight. Leave a tail about 30 centimeters long, and cut the yarn. This completes the last round. This completes the last. Next, stuff the yarn tail into the fabric as stuffing. Finally, close up the opening. Thread the reserved yarn tail through the yarn needle. When threading the original yarn through the needle, you can push the fluffy part down and thread through. Then pass through the front loop of each stitch in the last round. If you can't find it accurately, feel it with your hands. A stitch has 2 strands like this. Pick the strand closer to you and insert. After a few stitches, pull tight the yarn tail. Then tie off and weave in the ends. In practice, you can tie several knots. This completes the ball. Now, let's proceed with assembly. Before assembling, crochet a chain about 4-5 cm long. The exact length can be adjusted according to your preference. Now, let's show. The chain should be worked as one strand using 2 strands of yarn. Take one yarn tail from the outside, and one from the inside of the skein. Hold them together as one strand. First make a slip knot. Start by leaving about 20 cm of yarn tail. Then crochet the corresponding length of chain stitches. When finished, leave about 20 cm of yarn tail before cutting the yarn. This completes the chain. Next, proceed with assembly. Use the yarn tails at both ends of the chain to sew the ball and the star respectively. Now, let's sew. Thread the reserved yarn tail into the yarn needle. I'll sew the ball first. At the starting or ending position of the ball. Sew a few stitches to secure it. After sewing, tie off and weave in the ends. You can make multiple knots. This completes the ball sewing. Next, sew the star. Thread the reserved yarn tail into the yarn needle. Then sew a few stitches to secure at any corner of the star. After sewing, tie off and weave in the ends as well. This completes the star sewing. Next, assemble the small bag. First work about 10 cm of chain for the hanging strap, and secure the small bag. The specific length can also be worked according to preference. Now, let's sew. Take the corresponding yarn. First reserve the length for the hanging chain. About 3 times the yarn tail. First make one slip knot. Then thread the yarn tail through the reserved chain space of the last round of the small bag. Then start crocheting. Hold the yarn connected to the skein on the left hand. Then take the reserved yarn tail. Hook it from front to back onto the crochet hook. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through the loop and the hooked yarn. First stitch completed. Continue to hook the yarn tail from front to back onto the crochet hook. Continue crocheting. Yarn over the hook. Pull the yarn through. Keep repeating yarn over and pull through. Keep going until you reach the desired length. Once you reach the desired length, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Hide one of the yarn tails inside the chain stitch. Then take the star. Assemble the ball and the small bag together. Fold in half the chain stitch that secures the star and the ball. Then combine the small bag with it. Wrap with the reserved yarn tail. First, sew a few stitches to secure this part. Then wrap around. Wrap tightly. Wrap about 5 cm. You can decide based on your preference. Secure the yarn tail well after wrapping. You can make several knots to secure it well. After assembly is complete, attach the 2 spring clasps to the finished bag straps. At both ends chain spaces. Then take one end, and attach it into this chain space. Then attach the straps into the loops of the clasps. This completes the assembly. Up to this point, this bag is fully explained. If you encounter any issues while crocheting, if there are any unclear parts, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's family, stitch by stitch, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.